Hello my friends. I've been watching the Fallout TV show and I couldn't help but notice some communist propaganda.
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
So you know what I have to say?
Democracy is truth. Communism is death. Tactical assessment. Red Chinese victory. Impossible. Freedom is the sovereign right of every American.
As we know, on my channel, the movie industry is an instrument used to manipulate our collective perception on things, and they tell us through emotionally directed stories what to consider right and wrong. Fallout is a story from a video game about a post-apocalyptic America where the nukes fired in a science fiction future based on 50s aesthetics and culture. Now of course, 50s come with a cultural package of the Americans criticizing and banning communism. We know that President Dwight Eisenhower on August 24th, 1954 signed the Communist Control Act of 1954 that outlaws the Communist Party of the United States and criminalizes membership in or support for the party or communist action organizations. In my opinion, this was justified, as the Soviet Union was doing some crazy stuff in that dictatorial regime, including mass killings signed personally by Stalin. The Soviet Great Purge is at over 600,000 people dead. 44,000 had their sentences personally approved by Stalin or his closest aides, with Stalin's initials appearing on 357 of the lists. Of course, it doesn't matter how much you kill in communism as long as it's done for the greater good. It doesn't matter if you spy on people or remove some individual freedoms, as long as it's to safeguard the collective and protect this greater good of socialist perfection. So in the Fallout TV show, they have these important conversations before the war started between one of our main characters, Cooper Howard, which after the war is called the Ghoul, his close friend Charles Whiteknife, his wife Barb, and the communist teacher Miss Williams, who later becomes a leader figure, a high-ranking official for the NCR. I didn't know that the NCR had communist ideals before this TV show. On the other hand, I thought it wanted to keep America alive with its old-school values. In these important conversations, or should I say indoctrination conversations, we see how the TV show tries to tilt the balance of good in the favor of the communists. In Season 1, Episode 6, Charles Whiteknife, a Native American actor, has this conversation with Cooper Howard, his colleague and friend, in which he enlightens him to some social justice topics. How Native Americans are just used as cannon fodder in movies about cowboys and Indians. Then Cooper explains to him that in the real world, because of his role in the film, which was an honorable depiction of a heroic Indian and not cannon fodder, how this role made him a wealthy person in the real world. To which Mr. Whiteknife says that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he's wealthy, because what matters is how the Voltec company, representing capitalism in the film, has made a deal with the government to create the bomb shelters, and how Voltec itself does all it can to promote war, to be able to maintain their contracts and their money, and how this can lead to everyone dying because of capitalism. Whiteknife proposes to Cooper to come to the communist meetings to find out the truth and fight against it. Cooper tells him that he is part of a cult, to which Charles Whiteknife replies that the capitalist system is ready to set the world on fire, and tells Cooper Howard that maybe he is the one in the cult. Then after he gives the card to the communist meeting, he tells Cooper that he should look into the company where his wife Barb is working more. After their conversation, Charles Whiteknife confidently walks out like a boss, as Cooper, the white man capitalist, has lost the debate.
Guess you had one of your meetings, huh? One of your communist meetings? Come on, man. We watch people die together up north fighting against all that horse shit.
Yeah, and for what? So the U.S. government has outsourced the survival of the human race to Voltec. And Voltec is a private corporation that has the fiduciary responsibility to make money for its investors. And how does it make money? by selling volts.
That's called capitalism, Charlie.
But they can't sell volts if these peace negotiations go through. So Voltec has the fiduciary responsibility to make sure that it don't work out. You're sitting here defending a system that's ready to set the world on fire, Cooper. Maybe you're the one in the cult. You should come to a meeting. You should learn the truth about where your wife works. For her sake.
The movie is telling us subliminally that capitalism is bad and communism is good, and that we shouldn't be so quick to judge communism because communism cares about the people and not the money. Of course, it is good to criticize the evil nature of capitalism. The fact that megacorporations influence government to the detriment of the people while accentuating the profits of these companies is really bad. It's called crony capitalism, or just simply cronyism. But to offer communism as a solution is flawed. To say communism is this perfect righteous revolution is flawed, because even with the intent of the benefit of all, you sacrifice a lot to get to that, such as individual freedoms, and even if you get there, the communist leaders themselves can also get rottenly hypocritical, and the entire mechanism can have flaws in it that lead to famine, due to a poorly managed state-run economy and supply chain, no heating or electricity in your house, and the most important thing, the loss of freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and just freedom to be you, because now the Communist Party has full control over the way you look, the way you think, and you can't derail because you are under constant surveillance. Trust me, I'm from Romania, a former communist state. In Season 1, Episode 7, we see how Cooper Howard attends the communist meeting with his friend and colleague Charles Whiteknife. The teacher of the communist ideology is presented as this charismatic, intelligent black woman. During the meeting, the teacher starts to speak about how the American dream is fake and about the bad corporations which run the show, to which Cooper Howard says that
The real enemy.
That's about all the horseshit I can take. Cool.
Mr. Howard? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said that this is about all the horseshit I can take.
Miss Williams then engages in conversation with Cooper. So Miss Williams starts lecturing Cooper, despite Cooper giving a pertinent counter-argument, telling her how she's preaching an ideology that leads to breadlines.
I'm not ashamed to earn a living.
Voltec is the largest company in America. There's a lot of money in selling the end of the world.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of money in selling a political ideology that ends in breadlines. Okay.
And I could show you some breadlines from communist Romania, if you are interested. He also calls out some of her own hypocrisies, because she herself worked for many of these capitalist science companies.
So, what are you, a millionaire communist?
Hypocrisy is like violence in your movies. If you only let the bad guys use it, the bad guys win.
Yeah, I got a little showbiz secret for you. A good bad guy doesn't see themselves as the bad guy.
America has been locked in a resource war for over a decade. Voltec bought the means to end that war. The same war you fought in. So they could put it on the shelf, all because it didn't fit into their business model. Want your
Miss
help?
Williams wins the debate
getting it
and
back.
tells Cooper how she worked for companies to create a form of infinite energy, and how each time Voltec bought those companies,
What is it?
and how Voltec
It's a
is
listening
plotting
device.
something big
A
that
listening
is
device.
against everyone, and therefore Cooper's
You want me to
wife,
spy on my
Barb,
wife?
has to be spied on for the purposes of the greater good. Cooper refuses that.
Good luck with the revolution.
No, keep it. It's a token. I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
Cooper refuses at first, but later, because his wife tells him that no dogs are allowed in the Voltec nuclear shelters, he decides to let the communists spy on his wife.
Just a minute.
Okay.
The conversation ends with Miss Williams telling Cooper that communist is a dirty term used to describe people who aren't insane. After which, she walks out like a boss, while Mr. White Man Capitalist Bad has lost the argument yet again. After the walk, the Fallout logo comes in victoriously as if we just learned something epic. Again, it's a subliminal manipulation of the audience to make them question in real life when people are accused of being communists, to not think badly of them, but to accept them as fighters for the good of humanity. Because communism is the ultimate win for surveillance and control, and that's what they want to implement in the future for us in the Western cultural influence. They are working at a new world order, where you will be convinced that it's being done for good, for the climate, to stop discrimination, to stop war, to stop viruses, to stop anything bad that you can think of, to solve all the problems that we have. And people will accept it just like they accepted the lockdowns. This will also fulfill something that we know as the end-time prophecy from the Bible, where it is said that a charismatic Antichrist will come and claim to save all the world's problems, and how people will buy into it, and they will even accept to be marked like sheep to be part of this system with the number 666. I don't think I went too far here. I'm just trying to say that we should fight to conserve the few freedoms we have left, and definitely not believe in any communist propaganda being thrown at us in the entertainment that we consume. You can have fun watching the shows, but when you see this horseshit, just bypass it and don't let it influence the way you think. That's all I have for today's video. There are ways to support me in the description. I've just released a new music album, so you can check that out. This is Vostok Vlad, signing out.
I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard. That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane.
Communism is a lie. Better dead than red. Death is a preferable alternative to communism.